Hi guys, hi everyone. I have the message that we are live and glad to be so. Good evening, Sasnux. I am Fumbi with We So Nerdy, and I am thrilled to be back here tonight with Katie to have another discussion about Outlander. We're starting a little bit late because Katie is also our point person on The Walking Dead, and The Walking Dead premiered tonight. So Katie was doing all the glorious live tweeting things, and she did a great job as usual. But I'm thrilled to be here. We're thrilled to be here. Ecstatic, deliriously overjoyed, if you will. Yeah, it's good to be an Outlander fan tonight. It's really good. How's it going, Katie?
I couldn't agree more. Tonight was just a great night for TV. I mean, Outlander with that episode and that reunion and all of those feelings. And then, like you said, with The Walking Dead after it and taking on that, I could not be happier with my Sunday night of television. And I cannot wait to talk about this episode of Outlander.
You said, like, you tweeted, I think, earlier today that it's like Christmas for today's like Christmas for you and
our Super Bowl.
Outlander and The Walking Dead. Is that what you tweeted?
I said it's like our Super Bowl.
Oh, yeah. That's exactly what it was, because tonight, well, we'll get there. But tonight was fantastic. So before we get started, just a couple of reminders. So our full recap for A. Malcolm is live, and the link is below. So please click on it, take a look at the recap. It includes new clips from the episode. It also includes a very sexy new image of Jamie and Claire in bed together, which is, I know, a favorite. So definitely take a look at it and let us help you relive all the glorious moments of A. Malcolm. Also, I wanted to mention that there are still about 5 days left to participate in, well, not participate, but there's still 5 days left in Katrina Balf's Represent.com campaign, where you can buy the shirt with Claire's, I am not the meek and obedient type, like a shirt or a hoodie. And you can buy some cool Outlander swag, and all proceeds go to World Child Cancer. So a very worthy cause, so definitely check that out. That link is also in the bottom, so please don't forget, you do not want to miss out. Get this shirt when you can, while you can. Okay, so let us go ahead and dive in. It's funny because I was saying to Katie that I was trying to come up with an outline for tonight, and I was like, Katie, basically it's just going to be like key smash. Like, and that's what I sent her, like all these letters and numbers, like just key smash. Because that's basically all like I have inside of me.
It's just vowel sound.
Exactly. All of these like feelings that I don't even know that I can articulate. But I guess the best place to start is with the hashtag, like we've been doing in the past, right? So tonight's hashtag for the episode was hashtag print shop. So yeah, let's start there. So Katie, given your expectations, whatever your expectations were, did the Jamie Claire reunion at the print shop meet those expectations?
Okay, so as you all know by now who've watched our video reviews, I have not read the books. I'm strictly going on the TV series and what Google has told me and what Fumi has told me. So whenever everyone was like, print shop, the print shop scene, we gotta wait for the print shop scene is gonna be incredible. Well, in my mind, I was thinking like letters falling over, papers on the floor, just like those two embracing, and it just in the print shop. And so as I was watching it, I was like, they're talking. And I was like waiting and waiting and waiting. I was like, oh, so they're just talking. And so that was it took me a minute to readjust my thinking. But I loved it. I thought it was such a almost like, goodness, like Jamie can't believe she's there. Claire can't believe she's made it. And it's this 20 years coming together and then realizing I'm really not the same person I was. Oh my gosh, these are all the things that have happened, or this is important. And it was really lovely that they could see each other again and have that interaction, I thought.
I agree with you completely. So I read the books, so I've known what to expect, or I've had an idea of what to expect. Let me put it that way. And so I watched the episode, and I was so overwhelmed with feelings. I was so overcome with emotion that I literally went to the book. I picked up the book and I started at the chapter called A. Malcolm, which is Claire arriving in Scotland. And I started there and I read the reunion. And the process of reading it made me love the episode even more. I thought the episode was perfect in that, yeah, Jamie and Claire have spent these 20 years apart. Yeah, they're definitely, I think they're glad to be together, but at the same time, they don't really know who they are anymore, right? So the episode is very much a process of them being very conscious of the memories of the time they had together in the past and the love that they shared together in the past, but trying to affirmatively sort of retrieve that rhythm, retrieve that whatever it is between them again. And I love every single part of that.
I love it. I love what you said right there, because you put the words that I've been searching for, like trying to retrieve that rhythm and find kind of that connection that they had had. And it is a process. It doesn't just, I think in my mind when I was like, oh, print shop, they're just going to get together and it's going to, but the way that it worked out was so much more real and realistic. And I sometimes forget that it has been 20 years and they really aren't the same people they were. So you're so right. They're retrieving that familiarity with each other throughout the entire episode.
Yeah. Or at least they're trying to, right? And even, gosh, there's so much I want to talk about. There's so much I want to talk about. And I feel like I'm just grasping at pieces. But even like their motions together, like their movement was really stilted. Like they were sort of hesitant a little bit. So I'm thinking specifically, excuse me, sorry. I'm thinking specifically about the first kiss and how Jamie is like, I really want to kiss you right now. Can I kiss you? And, like even that is sort of like trying to figure out the steps to this dance. Yeah. And then when they finally do, and it's just like, oh my goodness, all the tears, all the kissing, like I'm a mess watching it. And it really is, I think, quite perfect. It was perfectly done. And I think it matches really well. The book is also, which isn't always the case. I think there's several parts. There's several moments where the TV show departs from the book. But in this, I mean, you guys watching will I hope you'll share your thoughts. But it seemed to me that Matthew B. Roberts was quite deliberate in making sure that the events of this episode synced up with the series of events as they unfolded in the book. I feel like I need to read this chapter. Like I want to read this chapter, A. Malcolm, and kind of put those two side by side in comparison. I really want to do that, and hopefully
I'll open up my Kindle and
well, you have it, and I told you the pages. I mean, that's the advice that I have.
I know.
I've been tweeting out that advice. I shared it on Tumblr. I shared it on Instagram. I'm about to share it on Facebook, and it's advice that I really truly mean it as an Outlander fan. And you guys probably were going to do it anyway, but I can't express how much that even if you're a book reader or you're a non-book reader, you watch the episode, pick up those 30 to 40 pages of the reunion in the book and just reread it. It will make you so love and so embrace the episode even more. So that is my recommendation.
And so kind of, I don't know, building on that, there are major differences between this meeting than what takes place in the book as well, right?
There are differences. There are definitely differences. Well,
are we going to?
I'll tell you the one I'm thinking of, and then you can say the one that you're thinking of.
Yes.
So for me, I loved that cold opening, that intro. I loved it so much. I love the idea. Like, there are no opening credits. We go straight to Jamie. We go straight to Malcolm, and he's getting ready for his day, right? So essentially, we're watching him go through his day like it's any other day, right? He leaves his home. We don't know that it's a brothel at the time, but he leaves his home. He's walking down the street to his shop. He's saying hello to different people. He gets to the shop. He's talking with his associates. He's talking, with his like the guy who works for him, Jordy, who isn't that nice of a guy, but he's just going through the motions. And that is something that was quite unexpected. I know that Matthew B. Roberts did an interview with EW, I think, in August, and he said that he'd been hearing from fans that fans were really concerned that the TV show would try to tell the story of the print shop from Jamie's point of view, and he really, really assured fans that, look, this is going to be a good thing. You're going to enjoy it. And he was absolutely right. I loved that intro. I love that it was a cold intro. I love that it was from Jamie's point of view. And I love that after Jamie fainted, we went straight to the opening credits. I thought it was perfect. So that's a difference that I think I actually quite enjoyed.
I loved the cold open. I loved seeing Jamie's day. We've seen Claire's day. We've seen how Claire lives her life. We've seen Claire go to work. We've seen Claire's friends. We've seen her home life. We've seen her go to Scotland to, when Reverend Wakefield had passed away. I mean, we've seen Claire's every day. And so it was really nice to see Jamie's every day now that he has kind of gained his freedom again and his established himself. Now, I will say, I do believe I texted you as I was watching this episode, who is this woman fixing, helping Jamie get dressed?
I know.
I was like, who is she? She's not supposed to be here. I don't know this woman. And so that was one thing in the cold open that I was like, I'm going to need some answers on that. And so I kind of wrote that to the side and put it to the side. But like you say, at the time, we don't know that Jamie's home is a brothel.
Yeah.
But we do come to find that out. And he has his reasons. He does have his reasons. Well,
the thing that's, I think, quite fascinating, particularly, and you guys will have to remind me if it's this way in the books, but we don't know, after Jamie leaves Hellwater, we don't know what he's been up to. I think it's been about 2-ish years, right, between him leaving Hellwater in 1966 and then 1766 and then 68? I can't quite remember the date, sorry. That Jamie, that Claire arrives, right? So what has he been up to in those 2 years? And we got a tiny glimpse of that in this episode. But I think you're right, Katie. It's really, it's gonna explode in a big way, I think.
Yeah, I think it has to. It has to, like right now, I don't know if I want to say this is a honeymoon period, but because they are so happy that they're back together, but it seems like there are things that we're going to have to talk about, and those are coming, and so I'm preparing myself for those things that are to come.
Yeah, no, there's definitely the best way I could think to characterize it is that I think there was quite a bit of doubt, right? Or doubt, or like a need of reinsurance. Sorry, or a need for reassurance. So, you know, you remember several times Jamie says, you know, Claire, why are you here? Why are you here? Are you going to stay? Did you come back to be my wife? Did you just come back to tell me about my daughter? Why are you here? Why are you here? And then Claire too is like, do you want me to leave? Do you want me to leave? Do you want me to leave? So they have that back and forth several times, sort of like push and pull, like, I need your reassurance, give me your reassurance. So I thought that was a really interesting dynamic as well. So, I mean, we think about sort of the initial meeting. Well, we talked about the kiss already, but we can talk about the first kiss again. And
why
not? Like the wedding theme, or a rendition of the wedding theme.
Yes.
It's playing in the background. Oh my goodness, I'm so emotional. I'm a basket case. I apologize. It's playing in the background, and I literally passed out like Jamie did. Like, just so overcome that after all this time, they're back together, they share a kiss, and it's the wedding theme in the background. How perfect is that?
Oh, it's lovely and wonderful and beautiful. And I love that the writers and the people involved in making this happen take the time to add those tiny things in that, you know, any other time you might not think, well, it's just music playing in the background. But that theme, especially if you've listened to the soundtracks and, you know, kind of have those going sometimes, that is a very iconic theme if you're into those Outlander things. And so to hear that, it's just beautiful. I loved it. It was. But the thing is, they were both, like you said, honeymoon period. And I want to break that apart a little bit, right? Because I think, yeah, there are elements of a honeymoon period, but I think there are also elements of this like disbelief and the awkwardness, right? So like their initial meeting is one where, like, after Jamie is sort of like, he comes out of his shock and he realizes that Claire is really there, and, you know, they have that connection. But even that, he's still like, you know, when he like wants to change his pants and he asks Claire to turn around, and Claire is like, but we're married, right? So I'm pretty sure I've seen all of that, right? So even there's still some awkwardness there that they're trying to deal with, right? Mm-hmm. But the attraction is certainly still there, and a version of the love is definitely still there, right? So it's just trying to negotiate their way back to that. Mm-hmm. Yes, I 100%. I love that. He's like, you know, could you turn around? And as I was watching, I was like, she's pretty familiar with all
that business.
So, but I mean, I guess it's been 20 years, and it's, you know, you weren't expecting her. You may feel a little awkward. But I did like I felt it was really believable to see them go through that initial disbelief and awkwardness and that push and pull, like that. Are you staying? Why are you here? Do you want me to go? Yeah. That really worked for me.
Oh, I agree. So what was the other thing because I have another thing that was different from the books, but I wanted you to say what you were going to say.
Okay. Well, of course, mine is, well, as someone who's just watched this, you know, the shows, but Google, I knew that from the books, Claire finds out he has a son a different way.
Ooh, yes, honey.
And I was very surprised that Jamie came came clean about Willie at the very beginning. You know, Claire shows him these photos of Bree and talks about her, and then Jamie says, you know, I have a son. That shocked me. I thought that was going to be something that was a bombshell that would be dropped later in the season. But I'm so glad that he didn't hide it, and that he allowed Claire that piece of his life. Because he is proud of Willie. He loves his son. He was heartbroken to leave him. And so I am glad that they made it something positive for Jamie, because it is positive. He is proud of being his father, even if he doesn't get to be his father.
Yeah. No, so it was, I have so much I want to say. So I too was very, very, very shocked the first time I watched the episode, and Jamie pulled out this portrait and was like, I have a kid. I was really, really shocked because, and guys, please correct me if I'm wrong, but Claire doesn't find out until book 4, like the middle of book 4. And the way that she finds out isn't nearly as, I don't know, soft is the only word that comes to my mind, right? Like, the way Jamie does it in the TV show, it's a little bit shocking, but he does it quite gently, right? So it's sort of natural, right? They were talking about Bree, their daughter, then they talked about Faith, their other daughter, which that's another thing that that had me so messy. And then sort of it's very natural from those conversations that we would get to a conversation about Willie, or Jamie would take the opportunity to talk to Claire about Willie. That is not the way it happens in the books. I don't know what I think yet. I don't know what I think yet. I don't know if I think it's a good thing the way the TV show tried to do it, because as you said, Katie, this is part of, Jamie says that he hasn't told anyone. He hasn't even told Jenny about Willie. So it seems that the only people who know about Willie are the Dunsaneys, well, Isabel, right, and Lord John Grey. Like, those are the only people who know that Willie is his. So for him to sort of open up and tell Claire about that right away, I think you're right. It definitely shows him trying to reconnect with her, and that trust, that sort of very implicit trust that he has in Claire is still there, right? That he would reveal this deeply personal part of him to Claire. But yeah, it was really shocking.
Yeah, I was, like I said, I was completely shocked about that. But I do like how it kind of came about organically, how, Claire is talking about Bree, and she has these photos, and of course Jamie, being dad, is like looking through them, and then he gets to the bikini picture and he's like, what is she wearing? Like, where is she? That was precious. And that moment when she said, I believe she says something like, she has red hair like Faith. I think that was the connection she made with Faith. That broke my heart because, and correct me if I'm wrong, because things slip my mind, but does Bree know about Faith? Has Claire ever shared that with her?
I don't know.
See, I know that whenever she was in labor, that was the first time that Frank kind of found out about that she'd had a miscarriage. But does she even tell Frank about Faith? Because she had a miscarriage and then she goes on to have Faith. So does anyone in present time know that she had a child that died in childbirth?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think in the books, Bree knows. Bree knows a lot in the books. Bree knows practically everything in the books. But in the show, I don't know.
See, I hadn't really I found myself thinking about that, you know, when she mentions faith in that moment and going, well, I don't remember her ever telling Bree or mentioning it. But I imagine that's such a hard thing for Claire to even imagine bringing up, and how they had to leave Faith in France. That was heartbreaking for me, that episode. And we talked about that, or I talked about that a little bit last week. But yeah, so that print shop scene has got me, it has me in my feelings. It really, really, really does. And then you have Claire kind of moving on and, you know, telling Jamie about Frank and saying he was a good father. He was a good father to Bree.
Oh, gosh.
And we made it work. And so this was my question that I said that I was going to save for you.
Well, okay. So you got to get time.
Okay, I'll try it out and I'll save my question.
There's something I need to say really, really quick about the conversation about Bree. And that question is, how dare Jamie say that Brianna is an awful name? I was so indignant. It's like, what an awful name. And it's like, no, she did Claire did what you asked. She asked you to name your child after your father.
Exactly.
Like, when that rings a bell, I think he's like, oh, you know, that's very beautiful. But at first, I'm like, even outside of that, I think Brianna is a very lovely name. So that he says the same thing in the books, and I'm like, I still don't really understand why that would not be a good name. But, you know, whatever.
When he said that, and he was like, yeah, and she's like, well, you know, I named her after your father, you know, like you had asked. And he kind of changes his tune a little bit. But I was like, that's not exactly 100% nice thing to say to your long lost wife and your beautiful child, Brianna. You know, I mean,
but the thing, he's likely he's quite overwhelmed, right? Because just the process, holding photographs in and of themselves, like what in the world are these things, right? So holding the photographs in and of themselves, and you know, even Claire takes a little time to explain the technology behind it, and I love her for that, because Jamie would be interested. And then he's looking at the photos, and he's just like, you know, my daughter, our child, our daughter, right? So he's very, you know, does she know about me? She knows about me, right? So he very much. He's so very grateful to Claire for this child's life, right? Because it's Bree, that is the child that they wanted to save. You know what I mean? Like when Jamie, like you think back to the end of season 2, and Jamie is rushing Claire back to the Stones, rushing Claire back to Greg and Judd, and she's like, no, I don't want to leave you. I don't want to leave you. And she's like, you have to leave. You're pregnant with my child, and this might be all in the world that's left of me, right? So Brianna is who they meant to save, and they did. And I know that Jamie is so joyful, right? And he says that, right? That you are the mother of my child, and I owe you my very soul because of that. That she was raised well, and that she's safe, and that she's happy, and that she knows me or knows of me, right? So that I thought was quite powerful.
It was. I love that part. And I'm going to just segue into something that has nothing to do emotionally with anything. Can we please talk about Jamie and his glasses?
Oh my God.
We need to have this discussion, because if that was not the most precious moment when that man pulled out those little glasses to look at those pictures.
Oh my gosh.
It grew 3 sizes, I swear.
Number one, he looks really good. I love a man in glasses. But, you know, sort of, by the way.
Yes.
So I think he looks fabulous. But the fact that he's like, you know, he's sort of embarrassed a little bit about it. And then Claire is like, reassures him, like, you know, you're dashing just as you are. And it's the truth. Like, it's Claire's truth, and it's also my truth. That is, in fact, how I feel completely.
He's so dashing and so wonderful. Yeah, just oh my goodness.
So wait, are you going to ask your question now? Because I interrupted you, and that was very rude. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. You're fine. Yes, my question. So, Claire tells Jamie that, you know, Frank was a great dad. He was, you know, he was a good father to Bree and all this stuff. But then, you know, she tells him a little bit about Frank, and she says, you know, it was hard for him, but he loved Bree, so we made it work. Okay, so my question was, do you think that Claire will, or maybe since you've read the books, you know this, will Claire ever go and tell Jamie the extent of her and Frank's kind of marriage, and how it was a marriage in name, and how he did love Bree and was a great father to Bree, but their relationship was not one that ever was salvaged again?
Yeah. No, I think, so here's the thing, that I have so much I want to say. It's very difficult. And it's very difficult. And I can say this as someone who's sort of like, who's seen it and is looking back, right? I did not feel this way in the moment, but like me now looking back on the events of the book, I can say this. And it is a very, very difficult situation for Frank and Jamie, in that Frank had Claire physically. Frank had a daughter who loved him as a father. I mean, loved him as a daughter, right? They had this very strong relationship. But Frank did not have Claire's heart. Frank did not have Claire's love, you know? But Jamie has Claire's love and has Claire's heart. But for a long time, right, for 20 years, did not have Claire physically. And even now that he has Claire physically, he does not have that father-daughter relationship with Bree. So I think that is something that, I mean, Jamie, I think Jamie is genuinely grateful to Frank, like this idea of Frank, for taking Claire in and taking care of his daughter. But I do think that there's a part of Jamie, and this is something that we can explore more later, especially next season. But I think this is definitely something that that sort of needles Jamie. The fact that Frank, even though that Jamie has Claire's love, and that means something very significant to him, that there is a part of Claire, there's a part of something that should be his, that should be Jamie's, that he can never have because Frank has it.
Yes. And I think, oh goodness, what was it, of Lost Things?
Yeah.
That episode, we kind of talked about how Jamie has not gotten to raise his kids. Like, he has these children and he loves them, but he's never had the opportunity to watch them grow up or be a part of their lives. And so I imagine that that's very hard for him, especially knowing how much Bree cared about Frank.
Yeah.
Because she was a daddy's girl. She did love her daddy, you know.
Yes.
And so
it's very difficult. I think it's very difficult. And as I said, sort of in the moment of reading the books, I didn't really feel that way about Frank. I was sort of like, Frank, you're sort of this peripheral character to me.
Yeah.
But sort of, especially given the show and given Tobias's performance and given the writing, I've been really able to rethink some of my perspectives on Frank. But yeah, we'll talk more. We'll talk more next season.
Yeah, we'll just put a pin in that for now.
We'll talk more next season. So we talked about Claire and Jamie's initial meeting. So shall we just go ahead and talk about the sexy times?
Yes, we just need to dive right into that.
Go ahead and talk about the sexy times.
Because it's been 20 years. It is time.
It is
It's time. And as someone who misinterpreted the entire meaning of print shop, I was like really excited for this to happen. And it fit the pace and the tone of the entire episode. It really, really did. And so I want you to start us off because you were absolutely bursting with happiness.
I am bursting with happiness because, so I think the thing, not upon, sort of like the first time I watched the episode, I was like, oh my goodness, this is so hot. So like that was sort of my initial reaction, like, oh my goodness, this is so sweet. That it's like really passionate, but it's really awkward. But that, I love that, right? I love that they can be in bed together and they can laugh and they can play. And yeah, it's a little bit awkward, but eventually they get into the rhythm. We'll put it. So my initial reaction is, oh my God, this is hot, right? But again, on further reflection, it was only tonight actually. So I've seen the episode 4 times, I think. So it was only as I was live tweeting, maybe, or writing my recap. Either I can't recall, but very recently, like today, that the parallels between tonight and their wedding night,
yes.
That jumped out to me so much for some reason as I was watching it today, and it was perfect. It was perfect.
Oh, it was perfection. Like watching that, and yes, the wedding night, and it paralleled the wedding night so well, and just the undressing and all of that was just, I mean, we had dinner before, and so we've had all of this foreplay where they're basically.
Katie, I have to tell them what I messaged you last night.
Yes.
Because you said foreplay. So I'm working on my recap last night, like late last night, and I'm watching exactly what Katie just described. She described it, very eloquently as foreplay. So I'm like typing up my recap, and I'm like, I text Katie, can I use the word "I fucking" in a recap? And Katie messaged me back. She's like, yeah, why not? So that's literally, you'll go read my recap and you'll see it. But that's how it was to me. Foreplay makes more sense. But that's definitely how it was. Like the coy looks, the sly glances, the soft touches. You're like, yes, honey.
Oh gosh, yes. I said, yes, absolutely. Because yes, I mean, she's sitting there drinking this wine out of this glass, and I'm like, I mean, there's drinking wine out of a nice glass, and then there is what was happening in that episode that had so many different layers going on underneath it that it was just, I mean, y'all are full, right? Because it's time to move on. And you're right, it was awkward, and oh my goodness, like the kissing and like the head butting, like they hit each other in the head, right? Like, like they hit each other in the head. But it was perfect.
But it is so.
It is. And you have one of the quotes that Jamie says, Well,
because even in that, like throughout the episode, this is what this need for reassurance, right? Like this, can I believe this? Is this real? Are you really going to stay? Are you really here? Right? This need for reassurance. So that was the quote that stood out to me, especially in this scene right as they're going to bed together.
Yes. The quote, I love how they, like, even in these moments where they're being intimate and they're kind of reconnecting in that way, they still feel comfortable enough with each other to be, vulnerable, to say, do you want me? I'm not the man that I was. Yeah. Like, even though we were married and we've known each other physically before, I am not that same man. Yeah. And, she's not the same woman, and she's like, I want you I don't want you no matter what. Yeah. And
so, oh God, like, I'm going to read this quote and I'm going to be a mess.
I need you to read this quote for me.
Jamie, I have burned for you for so long. Do you not know that? But I'm no longer the man you once knew. You and we know each other less than when we were first wed. And then Claire says, do you want me to go? And then Jamie says, no, I don't want you to go, but I must know, do you want me? And Claire says, whoever you are, James Fraser, yes, I do want you.
Yes!
Emotions, so many of them. And it's because it's just the truth. That's just their truth. That no matter who Jamie is now, no matter what he's done, no matter who Claire is now, no matter what she's done, this connection between them. And even, I think it's after the first time they sleep together and they reflect back to their sort of when they were first married. And the scene, I can't remember what episode it's from, but they're about to have sex and Jamie says, what is this? Like, is it like this for everyone? Does it ever stop? The wanting you. Okay. Right? And they reflect on that again. And Jamie is like, I don't know what this is, but it is still there between us.
That episode, it's like, well, the one that I'm thinking of is back in season 1, whenever they're away from the group and he like lays her back on the grass.
Yep,
and
that's the one.
Like, I feel like I'm like God and when I'm inside of you or something like that. And I'm just like, oh my goodness. Yes. Okay. Yes, and, we're interrupted in that scene, but is it always like this? Because their connection is so powerful.
Yeah.
And even though they've spent 20 years apart, that connection is still so powerful. And there's some bumps along the way, but like you said, they get back into that rhythm. And it is worth the wait.
It is very rhythmic.
Yes.
So like there's what I tweeted, what did Claire say? She said, do it now and don't be gentle.
Yeah.
So like I tweeted that quote and then there's this gif of a lady like falling back in her seat and like her legs kept kicking up in the air because she passed out. And I was like, yeah, that was pretty much me. Like Claire, well, and Jamie always did follow directions really well.
He is. I mean,
that was thank you. And even afterwards, like, so when they finish, and I think even in that moment, they're still like, that was real. This is real. This is real. Right? And being able to celebrate that sort of.
Yes. And oh, goodness. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Definitely.
And so it's important to note that we now have best butt thing happening on social media between Kit Harington and Sam. So that debate is ongoing. If you are involved in that on social media, we have Jon Snow versus Jamie Fraser.
I refuse to choose.
I refuse to choose.
Being who I am, I can enjoy both. And I will enjoy both. And I do enjoy both.
We are on the same page. I will not be choosing.
That is funny. I feel like, I wonder if Sam Ewan and Kit Harington know each other, because I feel like Sam has made several references sort of like in passing to like, to Jon Snow and like Kit Harington. So if they were like friends in real life, that would actually make me very happy.
I know, like I need this friendship to happen. Like if it hasn't happened already, I need this friendship to happen.
I know.
It would be awesome.
I agree.
Well, speaking of all of these lovely, wonderful love scenes,
yes.
Let's move on to the fact that these happen in a brothel. Because that's where Jamie is staying.
But can we talk about how they definitely give those brothel patrons a run for their money? Because they, and I also just need to very quickly say, the last sexy times in the morning when Jamie wakes up and Pauline, I think Pauline or Paulette, is bringing breakfast, and Claire asks, don't you want to eat? And I was thinking to myself, don't you worry, Jamie's going to eat. And Jamie's going to eat really well in about a minute, Claire. That's what I was thinking. So I just needed to say that because I love everything about Outlander and Outlander sexy times. So that made me happy. I just need to point that out.
So much about Outlander and its love scenes and the way that it chooses to shoot though when it comes to Jamie and Claire's relationship is Jamie is very much about Claire's pleasure. And they never shy away from Jamie doing those things. They don't at all. And I love that. I think that's so wonderful because most of the time, and I don't want to blanket like this, all these shows, don't do this, but I feel like Outlander's so representative of having this female autonomy, but also female pleasure is something that exists, and it's something that Jamie is very much wanting to give, to Claire, and it's celebrated.
I agree. I think that's one thing that I really enjoy about both the book and both the show is that Claire embraces her sexuality, right? That she loves sex and she enjoys sex as much as anyone else, right? And the fact that she finds a very willing partner in Jamie, I agree. I think that's a very good thing. And Claire was his first sort of like all the way first.
Yes.
So I think she taught him a little bit, and then he's learned something over the years that he can bring back, and he can contribute. He can contribute to the game too. So I think positive all around.
Yes, it's so positive.
Yeah.
And my face is so red right now.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, from just like laughing. My face is red. I feel like you need to.
Don't you worry, Claire. Jamie's gonna eat.
Yeah, don't worry.
You eat.
Yum. I know, it's like, you just stay here and I'm gonna go to work. And Claire, of course, is like, I'm gonna go get dressed and go eat breakfast with these, with the ladies of the house.
The ladies of the house.
And that's one thing I love about Claire is she doesn't look down on people. Like,
no, that's true.
She's just like, hey, let's talk, let's eat. And of course, they're like, you should be up in your room. You shouldn't be here. Yeah. But, Claire is not that kind of person. She's so accepting and she doesn't have any of these, she doesn't put on airs. She's like, we're all people here. We're all women. Yeah. We all know what's going on in here. Yeah. Let's just have some breakfast.
No, they share tips.
They share tips. I mean, it's wonderful.
They share sexy times tips. They share
contraception
contraception tips. So they have an exchange of sorts, and that's actually a really funny scene.
It is.
But I like that scene quite a bit. But as you said, like, Jamie, what in the world is this side job that has you living out of a brothel, man?
Exactly. What are you up to, James Fraser?
James Fraser, smuggling all the things.
I know. Oh my God. That man can't stay out of trouble. It's always something.
But can we talk about how apparently Jamie has this side business, but Jamie has brought Fergus as well as young Ian into the side business.
He sure has. And we know Fergus, he is always going to go to bat for my lord.
That's the truth.
So
that's the truth.
He is always on Jamie's side.
I know. Oh, Fergus. Fergus
Bless him.
Grew up really, really well. Adult Fergus is a very fine man, and he knows he's a very fine man, as he told Claire very explicitly that he knows he's quite handsome. But I thought that meeting, because Claire and Fergus loved each other so much. They were in fact family. They are in fact family. So to see them, just as, Claire's reunion with Jamie is quite important, I think Claire's reunion with Fergus and taking that time together was also quite important. So I loved seeing that.
Oh, I did too. And he calls her, milady. And it's so lovely. It's like, we thought you were dead, or, she's like, well, I was in the colonies.
Yeah.
And, but it's so important because
it's a miracle.
It is. And I love Fergus, and I'm so happy that he's helping Jamie and with Jamie, and that Claire got to see him again, because, man, Fergus, he's a good kid. He deserves good things.
He is a good kid. He's mischievous.
Oh, without a doubt. He's totally mischievous.
He's mischievous, but Jamie is also mischievous. So perhaps it should not surprise us that the two of them would be doing these things together. But young Ian showing up,
I know.
That was unexpected. That was unexpected. He was like, "Are you Uncle Jamie's woman?"
Yeah. He's like, who? And she's like, I'm, your Uncle Jamie's wife. And he's like, he just kind of like, oh.
I thought you were dead.
I thought you were dead. And he's like looking for the nearest exit. He's like, how can I get out of this room?
No, but the thing also is that, so he's 16, right? He's a 16-year-old kid. And he's like, well, we used to hear these rumors about you that you were a white lady, that you went to live with the fairies. So I thought that was cool that he just asked outright, like, have you been chilling with the fairies for the last 20 years?
Yeah, like, where have you been?
Yeah. So I'm glad we got to see adult Fergus again. I'm really glad that we got to meet young Ian, especially because young Ian is going to be quite significant. So we'll just put that out there and keep it moving. But also there's another associate, and that associate is Mr. Willoughby, or his real name, Yi Tian Cho. And let me say, I was interested to see the ways Mr. Willoughby would be represented on the television show. Let me put it that way.
And going into it, seeing I guess what we saw tonight with his meeting with Jamie and his interactions with Jamie and with Claire to an extent, thoughts on, because how is he portrayed in the novels compared to the TV show? What is that representation like in a broader spectrum? Because I know this is something that you like to about, that you have feelings about, which are very valid and very important.
Well, see, here's the thing, right? I know that I have unpopular opinions about Outlander. I've said that before. I'll continue to say it again, right? But that is something that really, so I'm going to be honest. I'm going to be really honest in that I didn't think, how do I phrase it? I wasn't sure that I wanted book 4, especially anything beyond the book 3, to be made into a TV show. And the reason I was most concerned is because of representations of people of color. And I think, so the issue that I had, like, so just taking this character of Mr. Willoughby, he really embodies all of the, in the book especially, he really embodies all of these very negative stereotypes associated with people from China and people from Asia, right? So like, even if you think about the experience in the United States, right? Especially in like the mid 1800s, and all these sort of popular, these social movements in order to round up Chinese people and force them out of the United States, right? It was all based on these stereotypes that, Chinese people are drunks, they can't hold their liquor. Oh, Chinese people are sexual deviants and they'll lure our women into opioid dens and then corrupt them, right? Like all these stereotypes. And I was really disappointed in the fact that in the books, Mr. Willoughby is this stereotype. Like all these stereotypes. And I don't know if that was on purpose. I mean, I don't know if anyone has asked Diana Gabaldon about this, but I don't know if that's on purpose or what, but Mr. Willoughby is the stereotype, right? He drinks too much, he can't handle his liquor. He's these white women consider him to be some sort of sexual deviant that, oh, you want to lick my elbow, etc., right?
Yeah.
So much so that she gets forceful and she physically pushes him to the floor. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I really, really didn't like that in the books. I really didn't like that. And I'm even more concerned about broader portrayals of people of color as we move, especially into book 4, especially in book 4. I'm really concerned about portrayals of people of color because it's so much, I don't know why. It just seems to me that in the books, the portrayals of people of color are based almost all on very negative stereotypes.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I am curious to see what the TV show does. I think I really like the fact that even though we first meet Mr. Willoughby as like a drunk, that he does have a very quiet moment with Claire, and he talks to Claire about himself. He tells Claire about his name, and he tells Claire about how he met Jamie and how Jamie is a very close friend. So I'm glad that they were able to have that very close moment, just he and Claire. So that might go a long way, but we'll see. Sorry, and I just spoke like at length. And I told you an unpopular opinion, but
no, I think it's very important. And it was, I mean, it's foreshadowed in this season whenever Joe gets those bones. And he says these were found at what is considered, a mass grave of slaves. And so I think it's really important, especially going into next season where we know that book takes us and we know what a part of it is, because you want that the people of color that are in the show to be represented. You don't want it to be a stereotypical representation. You don't want them to be stereotypes. You want them to, to have dimension and to be people and not just, what someone, wrote down at based off the, things that they've heard or things in their head. Yeah. And so hopefully handle that with more sensitivity than, so I hope.
Well, I was reading some of the comments that people have been making in the live chat, so I wanted to read a couple of them, a couple of what some folks had to say about Mr. Willoughby's character. So Barbara WM says that they've given Mr. Willoughby more dignity in the show. In the book, she agrees that in the book that he's kind of a bad stereotype. And then Barbara goes on to say that I read an interview in which Diana said she introduced Mr. W primarily to give Jamie a way of, I'll not say that because it's a little bit of a spoiler, but that Diana didn't do a good job of fleshing out his character. Also, Charles C. Parker says Mr. Willoughby's image is very negative in the book. I agree with Barbara W.M. and that they have given him more dignity. So, I mean, we'll see. We'll definitely see how the show continues. I hope that that Mr. Willoughby is treated with more dignity, but we'll see. But I was very disappointed with the characterization in the book, and the characterization of Mr. Willoughby is sort of indicative of a larger problem of the way I think people of color are represented in the book. So we'll see.
Yes, and you know, I hope for good things. I really do, and I think that this show, I think that if it takes its time and it looks at this, it can handle it. But then, of course, there's always a part of me that goes, I try not to get my hopes up too much. And so I don't want to say that I don't trust the writers or that I don't trust the, you know, the crew and the team that's bringing this to life. But sometimes, even though our best intentions miss the mark.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I can say that I still believe wholeheartedly that this episode of Outlander, I've said it, and anyone who asks me, I've said it all up and down the internet.
Everywhere.
that tonight's episode, I think, is the best episode of Outlander they've ever done. So I very much trust Team Outlander. I very much trust the writers. I very much trust the showrunners. Mm-hmm. I just think that, I mean, I'm not anybody. I mean, but I think that this is an issue that I hope that the writers' room has in mind, and that is, I mean, the truth of the matter is that Edinburgh, especially in that time period, was a very cosmopolitan place. So it wouldn't surprise us that there'd be people from all parts of the world that would make their way to a big port city like that, right? So it isn't shocking to imagine that there would be people from China there. There would be people from the African continent there. There would be people from the Middle East there, etc., right? Yeah. So if we can sort of remove those blinders, right, that Scotland in the 1700s is all white, that's not the case. It wasn't the case historically. It isn't the case in the book. So why can't we just have real portrayals of people, right? That it doesn't have to be based on stereotypes. We don't have to necessarily make anything up, that we can just portray people, right? So I mean, that's what I'd say. And I trust the writers' room. So I hope that they're just keeping this issue in mind. That's all I'll say at this point. And I will reserve my judgment for when the episodes actually come.
Yes, and don't say that, because don't say that, you know, who are you? Because honestly, you have like I value your opinion so much, and so your opinion has, you know, I do. And so don't say, oh, who am I? Because you are Fumi, and you have an excellent opinion, and you have wonderful thoughts that go along with it and back that up. And so, yes, definitely. If it's
thank you.
So talk about it, because it needs to be addressed.
You're very sweet. So, yeah. Team Outlander, if you're watching, let's talk about portrayals of people of color.
Yes. And there we go. Oh, and so. Jamie has a secret.
Jamie has a secret, y'all.
And I believe, which you have another quote written down for us, but as Jamie does have a secret, and he does tell, you know, Claire that he does trade things, right?
Yeah.
And that
he's a smuggler. He smuggles liquor.
Yeah, it's not like above board trading. He smuggles things, but you know, Jamie has a secret.
Well, here's the thing, right? Like, so there are two scenes in particular that stand out to me. Although I think there's several little things, right? So first, when Fergus and Jamie go off to the side, and Fergus asks, is Milady gonna stay with you? And Jamie's like, yeah, I think so. And then Fergus goes, but what about?
Yeah,
like, but what about what? But what about what, Fergus?
But
like, I'm gonna need to speak to Ned Gowan. Number one, Ned Gowan is still alive. Number two, why do you need the advice of a lawyer? Something's going on.
Yeah.
Next situation, when Jamie says, and the quote that I have written down, it says, I cannot tell you what it felt like when I touched you today and knew you to be real, to find you again and to lose you. And then Claire says, you won't lose me, not unless you do something immoral. Claire, you're in bed together. You're in bed together. What do you mean immoral? Like, where did that even come from?
Yeah, like, why use that word?
I'm concerned. I'm concerned.
You know?
And everyone seemed so shocked. Like, Yi Tian Cho was really shocked.
Ian?
Madame Jean was really shocked.
Yeah.
Ian, Ian was really shocked. And I'm just like, there's something going on. And Jamie, you know Claire's going to find out regardless. So you need to say what it is and keep it moving. That's what I think.
He needs to come out with it now before she finds out his secret in a way that will make him regret ever doing what he did.
So I think ultimately, like, that's when we finish the episodes, like, sort of thinking about wrapping up the episode, I think that's what stands apart to me, sort of irrespective of, like, the reunion in and of itself, which was fantastic. But one is that Jamie has a secret. Jamie has a big secret. And number two, why is it that Claire is, like, the threat of rape is like forever a thing that Claire has to do?
Oh my gosh, yes. I completely forgot about that until you said that.
That ending, and it was like, the episode was fantastic. And you get to that ending and you're like, can we not have one episode where Claire isn't threatened with being raped? And, like, the guy snatches her up by her neck and then you fade out. And I'm just like, this is the way that you wanted to end this gorgeous, glorious episode?
See, I don't know how I forgot that. But, okay, this is my soapbox. Like, oh my goodness. Can we stop using rape as a plot device to further a woman's character or to cause the man she's with to have some sort of, like, man pain and internal conflict? Because there's so many more ways that you can have character growth for a woman than the threat of rape.
Yeah. And
Claire has had that threat over her head so many different times. Like, please.
I know. I feel the exact same way. So, I mean, I was not happy with the way the episode ended. But sort of thinking about what I know is coming, I understand why that transition needed to be where it was. But yeah, I wasn't happy with the ending. But I'm not going to think about the ending. I'm going to think completely about the Jamie Claire reunion and how I thought it was glorious. So I still think A. Malcolm is the best episode of Outlander that they've ever done. And I am really, really happy about the episode. And I hope you guys are happy with the episode too. I hope that you enjoyed it as well.
Yeah, I mean, I know that you loved this one. I know that everything about it that met your expectations and went beyond them, especially if you are a fan of the books and you've been waiting for this print shop scene to kind of be adapted. And I say this as someone, I haven't read those books, but I've watched Willoughby read these books and then watch this adaptation of the print shop scene and be so overcome with just, this was so good. It was fantastic. It was on point. So I know that you were all happy with it, and the writers and everyone, they came through. They came through.
Yeah, they did. They came through in a major way. Like, Katie knows all this because, like, so I'm watching it, and as you can probably tell, I'm like recovering from not feeling so great. So like I'm working on my recap last night and I'm like, I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's the fact that I was just sick. I don't know what it is, but I feel this episode so deeply. And I really did. It was, and so I'm like texting Katie like all these like crying emojis. Like I feel so many feelings. So she knows that this episode tore me up, had me a hot mess, and I loved every single moment. So thank you, Team Outlander. Thank you, Matthew B. Roberts. Thank you, Norma Bailey. Thank you, Sam. Thank you, Kate. Thank you, Diana. Thank you, everyone, Team Outlander. You guys, oh my gosh, you guys outdid yourself in the most wonderful way. And I am incredibly grateful. Well done. Well done. Well done.
Yes, and I second everything that was just said because it was a really well executed episode. And yeah, it was good. And I hope, I know that from here, we obviously know that Jamie has a secret. That secret's going to come out. So now just to kind of fill out what that could be and what the fallout of that may be is where we are going in the direction of now.
That is, yes, it is. Yes, it is. Because that's the question still remains, right? That, yeah, Jamie and Claire together. Yeah, they still have really phenomenal sex. Yeah, they still love each other. But Jamie has had a life, right? So how does Claire fit into that life, right? Yeah. So that becomes the question, I think.
Yes. How does she fit in now?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. So, Katie, that's all I have. How about you?
Yeah, that's where I'm at. And so I hope you guys enjoyed it. And I hope that you're looking forward. Well, I hope that next week treats us well. And, thank you so much for talking with us and for watching our reviews and for interacting. And, we can't wait to see what you have to say in the comments and, all the fun stuff that comes along with the Outlander drama to come.
Yes, please. Oh, I mean, Katie and I mean that so sincerely, that even if you disagree with us, again, I know I have unpopular opinions. So even if you disagree, please comment, please share your thoughts. I learned so much. We learned so much. It's such a better experience when we're able to talk to you guys about your thoughts on the episode, your thoughts on the material in the book. So please comment, please read the recap and comment on the recaps. Please find us on social media and chat with us there. So yeah, we're so grateful to you guys. We're always grateful to you guys. And yeah, talk to us. Basically, me begging you to talk to us. But you guys have been, so I don't think I need to beg, but please do. Thank you for watching tonight. Thank you for watching at whatever time you're watching. Have a great week. I hope it's a good week for you. Katie, anything else before we say goodbye?
Yeah, just have a great week, guys. And if you are into wanting to get in on Kate's charity, that her fundraiser, or not really fundraiser, I've said that wrong, but her represent.com campaign. I know that I want one of these shirts so much. They say I am not meek, and I'm not the meek and obedient type. And so, yeah, definitely look into that because they are the coolest shirts, and it's for an amazing cause.
Exactly.
So too late.
Exactly. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. Have a great week, and we'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.